So the question that we always get a lot from our clients has to do with equity and how equity is applied in the workplace. And generally, they look for examples, right? So we generally talk about whether policies and procedures are applied in the same manner from manager to manager, department to department. And sometimes that connects with people, sometimes it doesn't. What I really want people to understand is that equity is not about giving everybody the same thing, although we hear a lot of people talking about that. It's about giving people what they need to ensure equal access. And that may be different depending on the group. And so because we're in this current climate, it appeared to me that it would be better to provide a real world example. So let's take the COVID vaccine. Let's take the distribution methods that are currently at play here. Right now, in most neighborhoods across America, COVID vaccinations are being distributed either via mass distribution sites or pockets, such as pharmacies, grocery stores, right? Those are being considered and used as distribution sites. We know that just like the COVID infections, the COVID vaccines or access to COVID vaccines have a disproportionate impact on Black and Brown people. Why is that? And what needs to be done about the equity? So let's look at taking it back to the distribution sites. Again, pharmacies. Well, in lower income neighborhoods where certain marginalized groups are, there aren't a lot of pharmacies. There aren't a lot of grocery stores. In fact, they call them food deserts. That means it's not a lot of opportunity to get good food or access to good food. So if the distribution channels are already unequal, then the likelihood that those folks in those areas would gain access just as much as they would in middle class or upper class areas who have a lot of pharmacies, right, and who have a lot of grocery stores, is very slim. The likelihood is slim. So how do we correct that for equity? We need to look at the appropriate distribution channels for the areas we're trying to service. So when we look at marginalized groups, what are some organizations, entities that are heavily structured in those areas? Churches, for one. And I read something the other day about churches being looked at as mass distribution sites, which again addresses the problem of inequity. So hopefully this example helps us to understand equity more easily. Because again, it's not about giving everybody the same thing, i.e., everybody can't go to the pharmacy because the nearest pharmacy may be 20 miles away or 50 miles away in certain neighborhoods. So we need to figure out where it makes sense in that particular geographic location to have these distribution sites. And that is where equity comes in.